Welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 in, 3 out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. I am your host, Clinton Bonner, and I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. Brandon, 26-20, we beat the stupid Broncos. The Let's Ride curse could continue for all we care. We are 1-0, and we are fired up. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. It's always nice on a Victory Monday, especially when that Victory Monday is the first Monday of the NFL season. It feels good to have never lost a game, undefeated. Feels so nice.
It feels so good, feels so real. And by the way, we could get in here and hate watch. Yes, we are live Monday night. We could hate watch the 49ers together as well. I can't bring myself to do the Jets chant as a child who grew up on Long Island. That just feels too icky. But my sports take can certainly flow to the 49ers. But let's get to the good stuff, Brandon. So for those that don't know 3 in, 3 out yet, of course, look, we're going to look at 3 of the micro moments that were on the inside, the cool side, maybe the raging yang, and 3 of the more somber moments. And there was some somber choices. Let's be fair about that, especially in the first half. And Brandon, before we do get going with the ins, the outs, the whole thing already, please remind people what they should be doing while they're here watching and also when they're sleeping.
Well, if you also are into the raging yang, you should hit the like button, hit subscribe. You should definitely hit subscribe because we are closing in on 4,500 subscribers out on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast, you can catch us there. And also, if you want to subscribe to audio, you can look for the Hawkra and subscribe via audio, as it's part of the Seahawkers podcast network. But we separated out a couple of the shows. And yeah, we hope you join us in all the places.
All the places you possibly can. And yeah, we are storming towards 4,500. We really are, which is great. So help us get there. Subscribing is for free, and it is for me and is for you. So please do it. So Brandon, we take down the Broncos. Mm-hmm. I lost my sticky note. I cleaned my desk the other day, Brandon. I put a sticky note here. I forget what it says. And I just know that within 3 in, 3 out, I know we have a rule. I cannot remember the one rule, Brandon. Please help me remember, what is our one rule in 2024?
Not only will I help you, but our Ryan 911 will help you with a $9.99 super chat. We are starting with an in because we are starting the McDonald era with a win, Clinton.
Oh, I love this so much. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you much for the virtual $9.99 super chat sticky note right there. When we win, we start with an in. Brandon, hit that whammy. Let's go. Nice. All right. Perfect. Let's drop that. Mind dropping that off the bottom of the screen there, please? So, all right. Let us get.
You gotta be so picky about what's on the screen and what's not on the screen?
Some people can see it. You know what? Because it's got to overlap the whole thing already, right? So, look, we got this beautiful dominating defensive ballers shot on the screen. So, if you're listening to this on audio, hit that YouTube, get there and watch this because there's lots to do. We already talked about subscribing, so I'll fly right past that part, but please, you don't. So, let's get to in number 1 then, Brandon. All right, let's set the stage, wet the canvas, a little liquid white a la Bob Ross. All right, so I very often, Brandon, of all the times we've done this show, where in the game do I usually like to start with the first in, like section-wise, chronologically?
Yeah, generally the beginning of the game, because that's where when you're taking your notes, that's on the top.
Generally the beginning. I am putting this in reverse, Brandon. I am putting this in reverse.
Oh.
I am going to the last meaningful play of the game. Of course, we love victory formation just like everybody else when it's our victory, but the last meaningful play of the game. So we all know what time this is and all that jazz. It is that 3rd and 6 play. There's about 1:40 to go. We're only up 6. By the way, I hated going for 2 early in the game, chasing ghost points. Hey, coach, just take the points. Who cares if you're up 3 or 2 early? Put points on the board. I digress. So we're only up 6. And the last thing we want to do, Brandon, is give the ball back to a Broncos team that has found some way to hang in this game late. Now, you know who makes the reception. Who is that, Brandon?
That's our Tyler Lockett, who was maybe the best receiver in the game, stats-wise, and maybe even per PFF.
Oh, he was the best receiver in the game. Like I don't think that for me, no doubt about it. Right, just the most clutch and just the back shoulder stuff and all the contested balls. He caught them all, and DK didn't. However, on screen, I don't have a circle around Tyler. Who is that up top? Do you know who that is? Can you tell?
Based on size, I'm going to say that's DK Metcalf.
Yes, the only kaiju on screen currently is especially as a wide receiver in a game of monsters is DK Metcalf. So how many times did you get to watch this play over and over, Brandon?
I actually, this is not the one that I watched more than any other play. I only watched the replays as it was on
Gotcha.
TV.
Gotcha. All right. So great. That's even more better, man. I'd like everyone who has access to it. Yeah, it's out there on tweets too, right? Go back out there, get out on Twitter and X, find it wherever, whatever, Insta, I don't care what you're on. But go out there and find this play because what you'll see is DK Metcalf. He's coming across tons of mesh concept in this game from Grubb. It's kind of one of the only things that actually worked over the middle of the field. And then like back shoulder passes, it wasn't the offense was a little messy, but sliding to the next slide here. If you didn't see it live, DK Metcalf at the very last moment does this really large head juke and body juke as if he's about to go lay out Riley Moss, the cornerback that's trying to trail him here. And it's really, really interesting. And this is what we dig into on 3 and 3 out. I'll slide to the next one. He does this, jerk motion right towards Riley. I can only imagine he's probably screaming at the top of his lungs that this is DK. He's not exactly quiet, right? And if you watch it, man, it's so interesting. It makes Riley Moss, I have it on screen there with a little bit of the arrow, it makes him go a little bit flatter than he's intending to. Right at that moment, it's like right after this moment here, he gets a little bit flatter as Lockett just takes the same angle he's taking as he's kind of progressing for watching this on screen, like northwest north, if you will, right? So it's this little thing he does, Brandon, causes that like not even decision by Riley, just reaction, and it gives Lockett whatever a bit of daylight he possibly could get, so Gino can make the perfect pass, so Lockett can make the one-handed catch, and we are in victory formation. I'm so happy you didn't see it because I want you to go rewatch it. DK Metcalf first in, and it's a big one.
I love this because one, I only wish there were a reaction shot of Riley's white pants after this play, just so we can get a check. And and the other thing I like about this is you hyping up Riley Moss before the game as part of Seahawkers What If, and yet here it is, Tyler Lockett getting the game-sealing catch on one rookie corner.
Hyping, pish posh. I wasn't
Defending
hyping the guy.
You may as well have been hyping. It was about as close to Denver hype as you got.
Yeah, I think he's probably pretty good, regardless of the color of his skin. Was my comment. And by the way, he played a pretty good game, and so did Surtain, right?
Pretty good game, except he was the one that they constantly picked on throughout the second half. But there you go.
I am so happy that we got him on that last play, so you could bring it up, put it back in my face, and that's what this is all about. All right, that's our first in. We got some outs. Let's head over to one. All right. So out number one, like we said, this game certainly wasn't all roses. All right, there's a couple things.
You can go back to the beginning now.
Oh, why is that? What do we got?
Well, in terms of time, there were plenty of outs at the start of this game.
I was reading stuff. I'm like, what's he mean? Yes, exactly. The beginning wasn't so hot. All right, so let's just get to this. Let's get to this mess, right? So this is 7:16 to go. Q1, 3rd and 11. Look, we don't want to be in 3rd and 11. That's bad news bears as it is. Left tackle with Tomlinson. This particular play, man, this is Allen just getting through him in like 2 seconds. Just make my way through the slides here. It's like the thing I'm looking at here is the closest Bronco besides the guy to his right hand side. I mean, sorry for Laken Tomlinson, the closest Bronco besides the guy who's clearly on cross is like a good 3 yards on the outside, and that's still George Fant out there. There's nobody in the middle. There are no linebackers in the scene whatsoever. Just a 4-man rush, and they are really, really spread out. So Cross is like there to kind of help and punch to the right a little bit. So what's happening? You can see Cross reaching over. Look at that. Look at the middle. There's nobody there. How are you getting beat to like this inside slot when you have no responsibility to your right-hand side? This, and then later in the game, he's the reason we get the second safety. He just blows his assignment against Allen again, and Allen gets the tackle on Charbonnet. Man, I think he run blocks pretty well, but boy, oh boy, did Laken Tomlinson leave me wanting a lot more from our guards, Brandon.
Yeah, just in terms of run blocking grades on the offensive line, it was Anthony Bradford who was at the number 2 spot, just because Charles Cross was number 1, I think, in just about everything. But it went to Cross, then it went to Bradford, and then Tomlinson had the next best run blocking grade. But in terms of pass blocking, not the greatest day for Mr. Tomlinson.
Yeah, and so you had said during the game in the Discord that Christian Haynes made it in after a little bit, right? So what happened? Bradford got maybe dinged a little early.
He got
hit the
dinged,
10.
yeah. Well, initially, I thought it was just a, a penalty for giving up an early holding call, and I thought maybe they just had him on a short leash, and they were like, "Okay, well, you got a holding penalty. You've kind of olayed a couple dudes. Let's get Haynes in there." But no, it turned out that Bradford was hurt, and he came back in after he was okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we saw Haynes in the preseason play at least a decent amount of left guard. He had not done it while at UConn. He was like strictly a right guard, but he looked pretty good out there. And we talked about this a lot in the preseason. Like, all right, this is a bit of musical chairs, and 2 of these 3 are going to be our starters, but someone's going to be odd man out. Right now, it's Haynes. The way Tomlinson played, I can't. I don't know. And the way Bradford, well, he wasn't great either, right? He was really good in the run game, but he had some real challenges, man. Real challenges pass blocking. So I do wonder if we're going to see a change pretty early. So anything else from the interior O-line, even if it's not the 2 guards?
I don't know if I would expect a change right away, just because I think they're going to give these guys at least a little bit of time together to, hopefully build some chemistry before they go on making any big decisions. But yeah, I guess I would like to see Haynes out there too, but I'm curious. I think they're going to give all these guys at least 3 or 4 games together, as long as everything goes okay health wise, and hopefully everything ends up being better with Fant too.
Yeah, we don't know what's up with Fant yet. Obviously, he's going to go get go get an MRI and go check out that knee. Forsyth, I don't have much on to talk about today. I'll just quickly say, for a guy who had to come in and go play the other side and doesn't typically play there, I thought he was serviceable again. And then in the drive where K9 got going, he had a couple of nice blocks. They ran to the right side on that quite a bit. And I was like, ooh, he just did a bunch of seal blocks where they were pulling dudes around him. And at least he did those pretty well. It was funny though. I'll save it because maybe you'll talk about it later. So, all right, that's our first out. Let's get back to the ins. We got more to do. Okay. So you talked about Riley Moss and you ragged on me for quote unquote defending him in Seahawkers What If. Now, the thing you really should harp on me on is Mr. Phil asked at kind of the deadline at the end of What If. He goes, well, what are we more worried about? More worried about the offensive line or our linebackers? Now, you went first, so you took offensive line. And I was like, you know what? I'm a little more concerned about our linebackers because, and I gave reasons, right? Just we don't know what it's going to look like. We didn't see them. We haven't seen Baker, haven't seen any of those 3 dudes play a snap of, real football for us yet. All right. I'm going to take all that back, Brandon, and I'm just going to talk quickly, at least, about, dude, Tyrel Dodson is good, man. This guy
is really good.
So on PNW Prop Stars, our gambling show where we pick, props and parlays. We put that out on Saturday mornings. Another way to kind of get into the game as well. I had a Tyrel Dodson solo tackle bet as my bet 1. I took it off the board because I was like, I know. I went goose egg, the golden sombrero, 0 for 3, and
even after he was my What If Super Hawk in the show, like you could have listened to me in the What If show and said, "Oh, Brandon knows what he's talking about with Dodson, and you could have laid down that bet and maybe won the day.
Yeah, I ended up getting a little bit greedy because it was like a minus whatever. It was a minus bet, and I was like, okay, I think I could find a little value here, try for some value. And then I take a bet and I lose. I should have just put the solo tackle. It was like 6 or 7. He blew
Sure.
past that. And Tyrell Dotson on this play, man. So everybody could see it on screen. It's 5:49 to go. I think it's Q2. Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Q2.
yeah, we're in Q2 here. 2nd and 10, and you got Nix in shotgun. I think it's McLaughlin offset to his right, and you got a tight end in motion, and it starts to pull. Dotson just slightly starts to move with the motion, which is cool. And we'll just follow this forward. Then it's a little swing pass, which the Broncos did a lot of this, right? So when they tried to go downfield, interceptions, near interceptions, the occasional conversion by Nix, a drop or two did not help the Broncos either. But another little swing pass. And I love Dotson's recognition, Dotson's speed. Then he goes and gets leverage, gets to the outside. And finally, in this position, he does get washed out at the very end, but he's right there. He sticks his arm out, clips the legs of McLaughlin, and it's whatever, a no gain type thing. Dotson was everywhere. And I loved his just fierceness and just going at the ball with a lot of speed. Take last year's linebackers. This play probably goes for 30 yards, Brandon, or maybe just 11 yards in the first down. I don't want to be hyperbolic about it, but this linebacker core, Brandon, tell me what you think.
I still want to see a little bit more out of Baker before I settle on him. But Dotson, after this game, I'm ready to say it's, I know we're supposed to take 3 or 4 games to crown some of these guys, but after just seeing Dotson on the field in this game, I'm feeling very good things. That very good things are coming his way. Not only did he do well in tackles, he was the team leader along with, he tied Devin Witherspoon for 5 stops on the day. And I like to think of stops as just the really, really good tackles. And so it was Witherspoon, it was Dotson, and both those guys having a good day. But expectations were there for Witherspoon. Dotson, maybe not so much, even though I called him out going into this game.
Yeah, you did. You were on it, and you were right. How about our overall speed? What'd you think of our speed on defense?
It was good the way they rallied to the ball. And one of the things we heard from Coach McDonald in his coach's show on 710 Seattle Sports, he talked about, they had some missed tackles, but every time there was a missed tackle, it was because of that speed and rallying to the ball that they didn't get hurt badly by missed tackles in this game.
Interesting. I didn't get a chance to listen to it today. Workday was just a bit maddening, and so I will go back and listen. And you saw the comment too that Jeff Scott put up that there were some shoestring tackles and shoestring moments, which is like you're kind of on that edge because you're like, oh dude, don't miss that, because if you do, then the guy could be sprung. However, if the guys who are diving at ankles and taking their chances, and let's say breaking down less quickly and being more aggressive to get to the spot, maybe they're taught under McDonald, like, look, there's 10 other dudes. Go make the play you can make, as opposed to breaking down earlier to make the short tackle and giving up 4 to 5 yards versus a play that could become a TFL or a tackle for nothing, right? So I just wonder if that's part of his philosophy, and I think it'll show out as we continue to watch. But really good stuff from Dotson, man. Fired up about that. All right, let's get to another outs, and let's mosey.
Aww.
No. We'll mosey. And this is cool too.
Do another out.
I guess the rules are the format is the format. The rules are not the rules. We only have one rule, and I'll forget it. Don't worry. But what's cool too is people are piling in. It is halftime with the Jets Niners. So if you're out there on whatever you're on, Twitter, if you're in Discord, if you're on Facebook, whatever, Insta, tell people, hey, come on in. Send the link over to them. Love to have them come in and comment and join us live, because we got more to go. All right. So
we do like button while you're here too. That helps boost us up.
It certainly does. It absolutely does. All right. So we have another out to get to. I do promise you that this is the last one about the offensive line. I promise you that. And with that, I know it's a big play. I know it's the safety, the first safety. They are booting Geno out. So for those that are just listening in audio, it is the first safety of the game. So Julian Love makes that great interception. Unfortunately, goes out like the freaking quarter line, quarter inch line. And it's not a touchback. And what can you do? The body went out of bounds. Nice play. Okay. Now, I I understand, and I know people are talking about like, hey, run the ball here, and I don't disagree.
Mhm.
I agree, like run the ball and maybe not a freaking draw. By the way, though, with the Charbonnet one, that'd be cool. Just like get under center and run the ball.
Yeah,
But
downhill.
yeah, that'd be super cool, right? But if you're going to pass, which they did here, booting out Geno to the short side is like the least risky, right? It's just like get him outside the pocket, like immediately outside the pocket. If it's not there, he throws the ball away or he tries something. Bradford's got it. They all have to know this. They have to know this is a boot. So if you're beat, who cares? It's okay. Just shove the guy and forget about it. Geno will do the right thing. He will get rid of the ball. He's not going to take a sack when he's being booted on purpose. So you can't execute like this. It was egregious holding. And Brandon, we got to be smarter, man. We have to be smarter. So I got two guards that are just on the chopping block right now. We're not cutting them, of course, but man, am I fired up about them. Just a lack of execution, I think mentally too, Brandon.
It's not unfair to call out Bradford in this situation, but I do think that Ryan Grubb deserves a little bit of the co-signing on this out too, because I know you laid it out and said that it's less risky, but what's even less risky than that is just taking a three-step drop and getting rid of the football and using that as your pass play as your way back in your end zone. Like running a pass play is fine, but you make it a quick drop. That way, the linemen don't have to block all that long and get the ball out quickly. If the guy's not open, then you throw it away and run another play. This to me is still a little bit more risky in the end zone than I think I like to see.
Well, I take your counterpoint there. You are purposely making it a longer developing play by doing this versus a three-stop, just get rid of it, a three-step drop. And I accept that. So it could be a bit of grubs. Definitely Bradford's got to know that his quarterback is on the move. So you don't got to hold. He will get rid of the ball. Let's move on, because this was all first half and just bad. It looked so bad until it looked good. So we got some more good. Let's get there. Okay, we are flying through the ends, but we have more stuff. We got more to do. So hold on to your seats, folks. All right. As much as I like the linebackers, and I really did, I really like the play of our defensive backs also, man. I talk about speed, talk about rallying to the ball. This defense does a great job of making the QB make a decision right away, which usually means throwing it short and then let fast guys who can tackle go tackle, which is super cool. And Jeff Scott brought up earlier, yeah, they're kind of going for it. They're kind of an ankle tackling. They're kind of diving for things. So I wanted to pull up this last play here, which is Kayvon Wallace on screen here. So this is a 16-13 game. We had taken the lead, Q3 about 8-10 to go. Again, we have them in a 3rd and 11. And again, they're doing a check down to McLaughlin, who got a lot of touches, but not a lot of yards in this game. So a check down to McLaughlin, and you see Kayvon flying in, and he's kind of beat actually, but throws the hand out there. And I would say, Brandon, not haphazardly. I think he was ball seeking by the result, and by like he literally just puts his paw right on there, pokes the ball out. We get the turnover. I think it was Baker that fell on it. It's our ball. This is that little bit, man. Like, yeah, you can miss this tackle. You can go for the ankle. He's flying by him. Big mitt on that ball, I think, with a lot of purpose. What do you think? Did you see it that way too?
I would hope. I mean, we saw, what was it, Artie Burns come flying into and knock the ball out of one of the receivers' hands. So it's definitely on my mind that they want to go and take away these, especially when they're these just short receptions. We got a little bit lucky baby that they called this a catch initially. I don't, if they call it an incomplete pass, I feel like it's one of those calls that maybe goes either way just because it is one of those bang bang type plays. But really important that we got the turnover here, and nice to see Kayvon Wallace getting the takeaway.
And I think it's a good call out too that the refs really weren't too involved. There was some nitpickiness. The DK Metcalf hold on the other touchdown. Yeah, he's holding them, but it's certainly far away. But he's still kind of holding his jersey. It is what
we got the assist from the Sky Judge at one point in the game.
Yes, that was actually awesome. I forget the exact scenario.
It was a hit on the quarterback. There were two Seahawks that got to Bo Nix at about the same time, and it wasn't necessarily a low hit, and it wasn't. I don't think they got a helmet shot in. It was just Yeah, it was maybe. I don't know if they were counting steps. Like it was pretty bang bang, but yeah, he didn't get there too late.
But it was great because it would have been one of those horrible, like, what are we doing NFL type flags? They talk about it for 20 seconds and go, look, no foul, which is really, really cool. So by the way, I gave this one a name. I call it the Okey Poke. Call it the Okey Poke. The last slide there on screen for those watching on YouTube, and it's really nice shot. Again, back to what Jeff Scott was saying, like just going at it. Now, in this case, if he doesn't make the play, I don't know if that security guard in the background is going to turn around and then become like the 12th man, the actual 12th man, and try. I'm sure there's other dudes flying in that we don't see on this particular screen because Baker jumps right on it. And I think it's Witherspoon or maybe Woolen that's like flying right by 2 seconds later too. So I think it's a little bit misleading, but the Okey Poke for Kayvon, love that a ton. All right, we have one more out. Let's get to it. Let's do it quick because we have more fun stuff to talk about. All right, so Fant goes down, and this is the first play, the first play after Fant goes down. And the piece for me, Brandon, is like we were having sincere challenges with pass protection, right? And then just pass protection's an issue, run blocking pretty good, and our screen game again didn't hit. So I'm gonna be a little finicky here, and the guy circled. You've got a man coming in motion towards the screen. You got Gino in shotgun. I think it's Charbonnet off his side. Doesn't really matter. But you've got I got JSN circled, and he's in the he's offset, and right next to him is Laviska, and Laviska is going to step back and receive a wide receiver screen. Look, we got your right tackle just went out, who's already your backup right tackle. You got Forsyth in the game, and Grubb is clearly showing. Well, I think he ends up showing here. He's trying to get the short game going. We have to get the short game going. To do that, Brandon, we have to execute blocks on the edge. So I'm calling out the second-year kid. I'm calling out JSN. It's just, I don't know if it's a poor effort, but it's certainly poor execution. Nice job by number 29, the Broncos. He makes a nice tackle, smacks Laviska for like a 3-yard loss. But if we are having problems getting Gino to a 5 and 7 step drop, which we were, then you have to be extra particular when it's short game stuff. You have to execute that because they have taken away, or you have taken away, your ability for 5 and 7 step because you cannot pass protect. So JSN's got to know, dude, I need to execute this and just not let my dudes down. An okay game for JSN, kind of similar usage to what we saw last year. A couple of first downs, which was cool. But in this one, he's taking the last out, but it's in a win. But Brandon, what do you think?
Well, it was execution across the board, not just JSN. I feel like throughout the first half, we had another play where it was Chenault and it probably was JSN out there too. And it was Laviska not getting set all the way, right? And they end up getting a penalty. So, it was ugly all across the board. And, JSN, it's fine to call him out here, but I could throw in a lot of offensive players for this third out.
Yeah, and thankfully we don't have any extra outs to give, which is just the way the format goes. And you're right, there's plenty of outs to go around, and I just didn't want to stick to the offensive line any more than I had to. And I frankly, when I went back and rewatched this after work today, there just wasn't stuff on the defense that I would brag on them for. We gave
Sure.
them 2 safeties. They had an interception at about 35-yard line or something like that, and a muff punt where they got the ball at the 10. And we gave up 20 points in the entire game. But like with those freebies, there was, to me, nothing where I could pinpoint a defensive player, even one moment that was like so bad. A missed tackle here or there, but I'm not going to do that. So I had to spin it to the offense. Offense is wearing all 3 outs, and that's just the way it's going to be. Anything else on this play or other players that deserve the bad side of the ledger?
Well, I expect D. Williams will get plenty of it when we get to the From the Flock segment.
Yeah, that could be. It's maybe not just the muff, maybe the one that goes over his head and lets it bounce, but that was like at the 6-yard line, and they make a beautiful play. All right, so Brandon, not only when we win do we start with an in, because I wrote it down, so it's here right now, so I remember it. Not only when we win do we start with an in, but we also, a couple of years ago now, probably 4 years ago, we added the extra in. We call it the brand in. You get to tell me what you think is deserving of that extra in, and I get to listen and sit back with the flock. I'm here for it. What do you got this week?
We went so heavy on the offensive line on the outside of the ledger. I think we need to call out somebody positively, and that is one left tackle, Mr. Charles Cross, who offensively, per PFF, was the top offensive player of the day, grading out at 94.8, just ahead of Tyler Lockett's 90.3. And one of my favorite plays from this game was the obviously the Kenneth Walker touchdown. But if you go back and you watch the replay of K9's touchdown, you will see Charles Cross going on and taking on linebacker Cody Barton. He engages him and he pancakes him, puts Cody right on his back. As it's kind of inconsequential to K9 getting into the end zone, but it just felt so good to see that in the replay, and emblematic, I think, of Charles Cross's overall day. Charles Cross getting my brand in.
Yes, and Carly Perkins here for it as well. Car in the Discord. You tweeted this, right? So this is one of you retweeted the highlight, and I saw it today on your feed. So folks that are out there at Seahawkers Pod on Twitter, go give Brandon a follow, and you'll see it right there. And it's lovely. It's so lovely. And I was giving Forsyth some love before on this play. He's supposed to go find a linebacker. He does not. He misses. And it's actually the linebacker that K9 okey dokes himself, because K9 beats a dude and then gets to the outside before he dives from basically the 17-yard line all the way in. Crazy. He takes off from the 4.5-yard line and he clears the goal line by a whole yard. It was really, really cool to see. So Forsyth actually misses his guy. But if you look just upstream, like you said, Cross is just making pancakes, dude. He is taking care of business, meeting Barton several yards downfield and then driving him backwards and then just plowing him to the earth. And this is what we talked about in the preseason, the offseason quite a bit. Look, Cross was known. He wasn't a mauler. He wasn't the dude putting up 35 reps or whatever, whatever our top number is in the combine for the bench press. He was more of, this guy has elite feet and really good speed for a left tackle, and in space is a great kind of spread offense, zone offense blocker. And one of the advantages of the Grubb offense is going to be our ability to see Cross kind of do his thing and more like his natural habitat, talk about like dancing bears. So love this Brandon. It's a great call out. And while I was pouring the outs onto the bad side of the ledger with our offensive line, you come in and say, hey, it wasn't all so bad. There's some great silver lining. And that's what I appreciate about you, buddy.
I'm glad I could find just a little bit of silver lining with this offensive line.
You absolutely did. All right, so let's move on over to the MVC. It is now in the regular season. I know we got the 3D printer going earlier. Brandon, let's check in there real quick. Supplies, energy, all the raw materials. How is the 3D printer doing? Are we ready to get this one created and shipped out to the VMAC. The MVC is, of course, the most valuable cranny. I get to crown it, but Brandon, you operate the machinery. How's it doing?
Yes, it's all warmed up, and we got to have a big thanks to our members of the flock at
Yes.
getintheflock.com. It is because of your support that we can afford this $3,400 3D printer. So is it 34? I might be missing a zero. It was an
Yeah,
expensive 3D printer.
really.
And sometimes it's a little finicky, but it covers maintenance through the flock. It's all good things, and a big shout out to everybody who helps support the show.
Absolutely. So thank you all for doing that. And I see right here, we got Brian Smith real quick saying Bo Nix is worse than Zach Wilson. Don't get too excited. I don't think that's a factual statement, Brian. So I think I hear you. I just think that Bo Nix showed more in game one than what we probably saw in Zach Wilson in a couple of years. He did make some throws, make some runs, and
I don't know,
processed.
2 interceptions and a lot of short passes. I wouldn't go just off of game 1 for Bo Nix on deciding whether or not he's better than Zach Wilson, but I can see how you would have that takeaway after 1 week.
Yeah, either way, we did make him look foolish, so which is cool. All right, so there we go. The MVC is going to. Oh yeah, I forgot about the screen. I could have had this up the whole time. All right, the MVC is going to. I'm giving it to DK Metcalf, man. DK Metcalf, wide receiver number 14. And I know that a lot of people were down on DK. He's hurting the team with penalties. He's not catching the back shoulder stuff to contest the catches. I agree. Like, look, when we did the last warm-up game for the preseason for 3-and-3 out for when Gino had that one drive and people were going gaga over that, I kind of said, look, I hear you, but I saw Gino throw an absolute dime to JSN. I saw him escape on the check down to Kenny McIntosh in that preseason game where he was super rushed, like had to evade him. And then DK Metcalf made a catch he doesn't, I would say, normally make. In the preseason, he made it. This game, he didn't make those catches. He had, I think, 2 or 3 opportunities where he had the back shoulder stuff. He got a goose egg on there. However, when he puts the fear of God into an unsuspecting Broncos quarterback named Riley, and that's the game-winning play, the game sealer, well then, Brandon, he gets the MVC. And I hope you can get behind the big man, the kaiju himself, DK, getting the MVC, which we're going to print, get the placard done, and then get this out to the VMAC so he can have it and to hold it.
I think we need an extra large kaiju-sized MVC trophy to go into DK Metcalf's locker. And I love this because, one, I think that DK doesn't get recognized quite enough for a lot of those little things that he does. He's not just going out there running routes, and then with some diva wide receivers, you'll see them take plays off if the ball's not going their way. In this case, he knew that he could impact unsuspecting Broncos cornerback named Riley and put the fear of God into him. And so that's what he did. And it helps allow Tyler to make that amazing one-handed catch and close out the game.
Absolutely. So congrats to you, DK Metcalf. It might be in your youngish career still, might be the best award you've ever received. And of course, we want more for you in this lifetime, my man. But for now, this could be the best day of your life. Congrats on the MVC. And yeah, Ganos, I see some folks chiming in live, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, hate to be the bearer of bad news. Niners are absolutely smacking the crap out of the Jets. Yeah, it turns out the Niners are still good. So we'll have to deal with them in a couple of weeks. All good. All right. So we not only do we start with an in, not only do we get the brand in, not only do we fire up the printer, we don't do the MVC for losses, people. Like we're not giving away any trophies for a loss. No, this is sports.
You win to get a trophy.
You gotta win. Winners get sprinkles, man. But one thing we will always do, win, lose, draw, we're always going to do from the flock, which is a section we take out of our Discord. Brandon mentioned earlier how you could become a member of the flock. It's there on the screen, getintheflock.com, $3 a month or higher. You could party with us in the Discord, and that kind of happens all the time. So we go in and we have a channel just set up just for this called 3-and-3 Out, and people put their ins and outs there throughout the game, and we come back and read them to you. That's how it works, and I think it's delightful. So Brandon, why don't you kick it off since I gave the preamble? Where are you going first from our Discord?
I think I'll go to our live chat and Seahawks 17. And because I believe he is giving the in to Connor Williams,
Yes.
saying, how about our new center already opening big lanes to run through? Gotta like it.
Yeah, that's a great call out. And I definitely appreciate him doing that live. Remember, I do a ledger of 3 ins and 3 outs. So throughout the game, I'm compiling a good amount, let's say like 5 or 6 or 7 possibilities on both sides. Then I go back and rewatch it and I discount some, like, nah, that really wasn't it. But I also end up finding 1 or 2 more that I didn't see live. One of the ones that was on the inside of the ledger was the Charbonnet touchdown. And I was really going to give some love to the center pocket. In fact, everybody, all 5 did a nice job on that play. But Connor Williams really did a nice job, man. So going from being not on a team, injured, signed by the Seahawks, we don't know he's going to play, and did not take a snap in the preseason, to playing every single snap as a solid center in game 1. Great. I mean, great call out. Really do appreciate that. All right.
Yeah, there
So
was
I've been up.
one play where and it might have been one that maybe it got called back, but had he had the kind of the perfect leverage that he got turned and
Mhm.
really helped seal off a right side of a line, or at least seal off a hole to open it up. Yeah, I think it was a run to the right because he sealed off his block really well. And then even on the end, Stone sealed off his block well. And it was just nice to see both those guys, getting some good blocks in the running game.
And one thing I want to talk about real quick before we actually do get to From the Flock, because this came up as a YouTube comment it was a YouTube comment on the Live and on Catfish show that you and Adam did post game, which was a lot of fun. And somebody commented, and I think it's worthy talking about, was like, look, when are we going to really talk about the fact that the delta between K9 and Charbonnet is really, really big? And their point being, they're like, when do we get to see Kenny McIntosh? Because I don't know that Charbonnet is doing, I'm not anti-Charbonnet, but I am, let's see what we got with other players. Charbonnet just doesn't, when it's just north and south and there's something there, he'll go get you 3 or 4. And if it's really well blocked, he'll get you more. He does not create out of nothing like K9 does. I don't think McIntosh really would either. But I don't know, man. I just think that McIntosh at this point, 2 years in, having to get kind of redshirted last year with the knee, I think he deserves some touches. I think he's shown enough that he deserves some of these Charbonnet touches, and see what happens. I'm not sure where you land on that one, Brandon.
I'd be for it. I think it's just that Charbonnet probably the more well-rounded, and but in terms of being more dynamic, I would definitely agree with you. I think we've seen enough from Kenny McIntosh to think that, he might be a little bit more dynamic than, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we will see. I can't complain.
I'm not
too much.
anti-Charbonnet either, but I'm not. Yeah, there is a clear gap between who is number 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah. And hopefully the oblique is no big deal, or the abdomen, whatever it is for K9. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about that this week. We really can use them. We will have our shows that are focused on the Patriots and getting us rocking as we get into this week. And the big thing is the Patriots are pretty good at stopping the run. They are pretty good at their front. Their front 7 is actually pretty darn good. So that'll be interesting.
Gunos in the chat making a good point. If you want to bring in a running back who can hopefully wear down the defense, I would count on Sharps to be that guy more than I would McIntosh.
He is. It's a great point, and he is legit strong. We saw him last year. I think he even won the Kyle Brandt, angry run scepter by blasting that dude. I think that was at the Giants game. I forget. Either way, I was off my either off my seat or off my couch. Either way, and so I agree with that. Charbonnet is a strong dude. Again, I would still like to see a little bit of McIntosh, a couple of plays, see if we can get something a little more dynamic in there. But that's okay. Always dynamic is From the Flock. We promised it about 10 minutes ago. Brandon, do you want to kick it off since I talked last, I guess?
Yeah, I feel like I kicked it off, but I'll kick it off once again with Josh DeHuman with the out. First offensive attempt for the Hawks. It was a brutal start. Gino taking a sack on the first play of the game. And then Josh turns around and gives an in to Seahawks defense for not allowing a touchdown on the Broncos' first offensive attempt.
Car in the Discord, same wavelength, saying in defense making up for our O-line, keeping it to 3 points, saying, hey, that's good to see. Yeah, defense they were really good all day, for sure.
B-Wags biceps with the in on tackling being clearly improved. I think that was one of the things that we were wanting to see going into this game, and it was evident very early on as judging by where we are in the ins and the outs. Yeah, tackling looked good straight out of the gate.
Yep. And we got Amy, Design Pete's Beach House. She often joins us live as well. I don't think she's here with us today. That's okay, Amy. We love you. She says, out. George Fant getting hurt. No chance for 2 eligible Fants today. Hope he's okay.
Yeah, we want to see the double Fant package. Josh Dooman in K9, Sharps, and JSN being bright spots on the offense.
Car back with an in. Love Spoon getting that receiver out of the way. So Love had a clear INT. Teamwork, exclamation point. Good job, Car.
We got B-Wags biceps and 12th man records calling out the offensive line, giving them outs.
Yeah.
12th man records calling out Lakin Tomlinson, which we already did in the out segment. And yeah, O-line doing their best to emulate the 2023 New York Giants. No fun.
In the Discord goes by the name Adam Peed on me, which is something. Goes in, overcoming the first half, in positive side of the turnover battle, into tackling. And then, of course, has the out for the O-line. Says out Byron Murphy with no real plays, and out no targets to Bobo. The no targets to Bobo is factual. The no real plays for Byron Murphy is subjective.
Yes, that Discord username it's a throwback to a comment that Adam made a while back. He did not, in fact, pee on Garen, but it's a fun username. Lloydzilla in, no safeties in the second half. Yeah, you wouldn't think that we would have to give an in for not giving up a safety, but that's where we were in this game.
And it was kind of funny when we were pinned back there again. I was like, oh my gosh, they might get a third safety. And then we didn't. So that was something. All right. Scott Campbell says in halftime adjustments, baby. They were huge. What can you say? That's right.
We got the snail live in chat, giving an in to the return of a linebacker with the neck roll. Yeah, Jerome Baker not only throwing it back with the number 17 Dave Craig number in the old-timey jerseys, but bringing back the neck roll as a linebacker. It was an outstanding combination.
Yeah, a Craig, Boz, Baker for the win. Good job by the snail to point that out. Love it. All right, Lloydzilla, who's over in the UK. For the listeners out there, you might know his daughter is Edie, right? Edie,
yep.
Edie, and she is the protector. Evie, gotcha. She's the overlord of the Pick'em League, and she does a wonderful job with that. So listen to the flagship show every week to get the update on the Pick'em League, and probably usually a note from Evie as well. But Lloydzilla says in victory formation, baby. The only thing I was missing, Brandon, was a Marquise Goodwin backflip, but he's no longer with us.
We've got Ryan Ball in the chat in. Charles Cross having a quiet game. It wasn't that quiet. He did get my brand in. But yes, in terms of dominance, he if you weren't paying attention, he was incredibly dominant.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he means quiet, like in the way, you take a long flight and someone says, "How was the flight?" And you go, "Yeah, totally uneventful." Totally criminally.
You want an offensive lineman to have a quiet game because you look at Tomlinson and he's Olaying guys, and you got Bradford, and then you've got how many penalties did we have from Forsyth? So there were plenty. It was Connor Williams and Charles Cross who had the quiet games.
Yes, and they did well. All right, Frost in the Discord. We love Ryan. He's also the gentleman who dropped us a super chat earlier. Thank you so much, Ryan. He goes in. Tyler Lockett remains as clutch as ever. In K9 over 100 yards on 20 carries into offensive adjustments. Brandon, that's a trifecta I cannot argue with. That's perfect.
Carly Perkins in the chat in. Brian Murphy getting double teamed in his first game as a rookie. Great to see. It was nice to see, and it did lead him to not have a big game stat-wise, but yeah, when you got the young defender taking up 2 blockers, he was being double-teamed on multiple occasions, still ended up with 2 pressures on the day, 2 hurries, finished with 1 tackle, no missed tackles, so that's an acceptable stat line for the Rook.
Agree. Agree. All right. We got Lloydzilla back in here. Look, some people put in multiple ones and I can't read them all. However, when you write something like this in Peyton, this is talking about Coach Peyton. Peyton ditches the stupid visor for a real hat and still can't beat us. So, by the way, I wear hobo hats, aka visors. My rule is very, very simple: only at the beach or if I'm golfing. That's it. And I don't golf that often. That's the only time I wear a visor. But I do own a Seahawks visor.
There's rules surrounding visor wear. All right.
Absolutely.
DJ Nichols giving an in to the lack of yak.
Yeah.
Not a lot
DJ
of yak
Nichols
in this
been
game.
no, just nothing. DJ Nichols been really fun to hang out with in Discord. He's got a real, I think, a real sharp sense of humor and clearly knows how to rhyme. Lack of yak. Good job there. All right, so we have all the way to Gino in Dodson putting on a tackling clinic all day long. We talked about it, but we had not heard from all the way to Gino just yet. So I wanted to give him some shine.
Maybe an out here from Ganos. D-line did not look as scary as I had daydreamed, if I'm being honest.
Okay, I could see that. I do
Well, and
think
I feel like I preface this pretty well in terms of the previewing that they were going to get rid of the ball quickly. And when that happens, you tend not to notice the defensive line all that much.
well, one dude who we have not talked about one bit yet, which I think we should just for a little bit. I actually had this in my general observations notes, little sidecar, was that Mafe was awesome. Mafe
Yes.
was everywhere. So I hear that from Ganos. I would just come back with compiling what you said. And then I saw Williams was in a couple times. I thought Hall had a couple nice rushes, a couple of just power, power to speed, speed to power type rushes with that one big stiff arm. But Mafe, there was a lot of talk in the offseason, the preseason. Will it be Hall this time who kind of takes the leap? And what Mafe had 9 sacks, but could he do it again? I think after this game, it's pretty darn evident. Still, the most tenacious and kind of most furious edge guy we got out there, it's still Mafe, man. He had a really good game. He was right there a few times, and if they weren't just throwing swing passes, he would have like strip sacks and sacks.
Yeah. Mafe definitely one to call out. 9 total pressures on the day, 7 quarterback hurries,
Oof.
and Leonard Williams with 6 pressures, 5 quarterback hits. So those two guys leading the way for the defensive line for sure.
So take that, Ganos. All right, we got and Northwest Gambit back in the Discord in the back half of the defense, playing absolutely out of their minds. I agree with that. He says into 2 interceptions with multiple close ones. What do we have? Maybe 3 that could have been picked off, Brandon?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably accurate.
Yeah, I think it was about that. He does give an out. He goes, cannot be stated enough. The O-line stinks. He gives an out to penalties and an in when nothing else works. Gino runs it for a touchdown with, by the way, a pretty nice open field juke of a safety. That was pretty nice from Gino, man.
That was really nice by Gino. How do we not have more ins for Gino juking a safety out of his shoes?
Right. That was a nice run, man. It was like, holy crap, that 33-year-old who everybody thinks is, just magically over the hill because of a number, regardless that athletes keep themselves in such incredible shape, nowadays and understand modern medicine and modern diet. Gino looked really good in that run, man. And we needed it. We had a problem running the ball until it loosened up a bit. So love it.
Yeah, it was great to see Gino get that score. Great to see Lisa in the Discord, JSN Jiggy with it, and calling out Big Cat for his monster game. We just called it out, but Lisa tagging it too, into not hearing Connor Williams' name in a negative way, and out thinking about pooping my pants for the real D lines we'll have to face in the future.
Okay, and Lisa, love it. I will contest that the Broncos D line is a pretty good D line. This is not good. It's at least middle of the pack. At least. It's not like 20th, it's not 25th. It's at least like a 15 to, going towards maybe a top 12.
Sure.
It's not a bad defensive line. We did have Witherfork back in there too. He said, in Tyler, no more said. And you know what? Brevity, the soul of wit there, Witherfork with that beauty. And we didn't talk much about Tyler. We talked about DK, who did a little scaring of Riley.
We've got J85, a new member of the Discord, coming in and giving the in. Cards and Lambs both losing. Let's make it 3 of 3 tonight so we can be sole NFC West leaders. I'm right there with you. It's still possible for the Jets to come back, but 13 points down. We got our fingers crossed.
We do. You never say never, right? It ain't over. It ain't over till it's over, as Yogi said. And we got Living the Good Life saying this in the Discord. We got a couple more. He goes, in defense allowing the least amount of yards in an opening game since 2016. That's a pretty cool stat.
You want to go one more or before we close this out, or what?
If you find something else to pull out, go ahead, my man.
How about Carly in the chat? And
There we go.
God, I miss having football back. The Pats game next week is going to be tough, but we're headed to 2-0.
And for anybody out there that's headed to Foxborough, if we're headed to 2-0, me, myself, Brandon, Adam, and Wilson Kahn, the Princedonia parlays, will be driving up from New Jersey. We are all headed to Foxborough. So if you're going, there's plans being made for Saturday night. We will post them to the Discord. I'm sure we'll share it throughout the week as well. So if anybody's in the Northeast area and wants to go, I know Gary Blum's already connected with us, and some others have said that they are going. We got a bus going from a Boston hotel down to the game. I will let everybody know, or Brandon will, what lot we'll be in. And this way we could kind of party hardy together on Saturday and then Sunday into the game. Be a lot of fun. All right. We do have one more. And of course, that last one always goes to Hawk Van Dyke, David Bloomquist over in the UK. He goes, in Coach Mike's halftime speech, quotes, cut the shit, Grub.
Perfect. If that's what it was, then great. I have a feeling that may have not been what was said, but it feels like it worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked. We came out there and ran the ball, much like, hey, time to rag on the Rams real quick, much like when the Lions just decide to, I don't know, use the best offensive line they have in the league and just give the ball to David Montgomery and just jelly it down the throats of the Rams. That brought me joy. How about you, Brandon?
That was fun to see. I especially because I did not have any faith that Jared Goff was going to be able to lead that team. He had so many moments going down the stretch where I'm like, I felt like he was going to blow the game at some point. And, speaking of adjustments, that adjustment going from, the end of the fourth quarter to into overtime and just saying, yeah, we're just going to run it straight down the throats of these LA Rams. It was a beautiful thing to see.
It really was. Yeah, man, Goff, he was just missing dudes. He was like late. He was behind his receivers. I'm like, they're open. They are open over the middle. And he was just not having his best game. With that, Lions came through. Lions are our buddies. What can we say? I mean, look, yes, do we go into their home every year and beat them? Of course we do. But
Lions fans hate us, but somehow like the Lions are one of our favorite teams to root for.
That's the best thing. You're absolutely right. Like we like the coach, we like their style, like the fandom of being a Lions fan. We get it. We went through that in the a lot of the 80s and certainly the 90s until we got homegrown and got good. So they're kind of having their homegrown moment with Campbell. So we get it. We understand all that. Not a huge market, Seattle, Detroit, not the biggest markets, all that stuff, but still rabid fan bases who really care. So much stuff. So Lions fans, I know you're listening. We love you. You could love us too. Don't be upset Monday Night Football in a couple of weeks when we come to your house and we spank the kitty again.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.